because that's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at 1045 ESPN and on Instagram at ESPN 1045. For a look behind the scenes, highlights from our shows, the chance to participate in exclusive contests, and more with 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Good start to the work week for Lane Kiffin. We're going to talk about that over the next couple of hours. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. There's more news than we can get to, quite frankly. I would love to talk about Alex Bregman going to the Cubs. I'm going to talk a little bit about LSU's basketball team losing and how big this week is. I got a segment coming up on the Saints and how they got to run the ball a little bit better. We're going to get into that. Caden Durham's coming back. We're going to talk to Chris Cartman from Some Devil Source coming up at 2 o'clock. Denton Day with us in 90 minutes, talk college football, including the national final. There's so much to get to that we just got to get things rolling. So let's do it the way we do it every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
Well, Lane Kiffin got his guy. Sam Leavitt is headed to LSU to pilot the first edition of the Lane Kiffin offense here in Baton Rouge. This has been an arduous process, one with a lot of twists and turns, multiple characters involved in this story, but ultimately LSU lands on Sam Leavitt. Every single option that was discussed, I don't know how many were discussed in LSU's office, but just outside, just looking at this as it was unfolding, every option carried with it some risk. Trinidad Chambliss is probably the first, but your risk there is that, one, he doesn't leave Ole Miss, and two, he doesn't get a waiver. So there's risk involved in Trinidad Chambliss. None really on the field, none really running Lane Kiffin's offense. You know he can do that, but the other stuff carried with it some risk. Sorsby didn't carry a lot of risk. Was he a massive upside guy? I don't know about that, but he didn't carry a ton of risk. That was probably the most risk-averse option on LSU's board. But then you get to Leavitt, and there's no question whether or not he's a good college quarterback. This is a guy who led a team to the college football playoff as a redshirt freshman. He has thrown for 4,500 yards, 34 scores. You're talking about a guy who has elite athleticism, great leadership capabilities, like competitiveness, all that. Like, yeah, there's not a lot of risk there. The risk in Leavitt is the injury. The risk is the Liz Frank surgery. The risk is missing spring practice. The risk is the time that he can return at the end of the summer. There's risk there. There was certainly risk in Deuce Knight or in Houston Longway. Like, they haven't really played. Like, there's risk in that. That's the game you play. And to me, I'm willing to take on the risk of some missed practice time with the understanding that they've gone through a bit of a physical with him. We had a doctor from Ochsner on last week, Dr. Hogan, who said, generally speaking, it's a high probability of return to play. Generally speaking, it's a high probability of return to level of play. You can't guarantee anything, but I would rather take that risk on modern medicine on a young, healthy individual as opposed to the risk of, can this guy play or not? Like, is he any good? And you would have had to do that with Longstreet. Like, and they may still pursue Longstreet. But you would have certainly had to do that with Deuce Knight as well. You don't have proven production from those guys, just recruiting stars. Leavitt has taken snaps in the Big 12 for 2 years. And one of the things I really like about Sam Leavitt is in two of the biggest games he played, he was great. I thought he was sensational this year against Texas Tech. Arizona State's the only team to beat Texas Tech in the regular season this year. He threw for 319 yards and a score against that really good defense. And then you look back at the Big 12 title game against Iowa State, and I wouldn't suggest that Iowa State was quite as good as Texas Tech this past year and not as good as some of the teams on LSU schedule next year, but it was a huge spot to get Arizona State into the playoff. And he threw 3 touchdowns and ran another one in that Big 12 championship game, a 4-touchdown day. If Leavitt's healthy, he is what you're looking for. It's an if. I am willing to put that if on it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you January 12th, Sam Leavitt is going to be 100% for Clemson and he'll be better than he was the first 2 years at Arizona State. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to tell you that I've seen the guy play healthy. I know what his skill set is, and I've watched Lane Kiffin in this league for a decade put up massive point totals, massive yardage totals, and win a truckload of games with guys that look like that. With guys that can run, have good enough arm, and he puts them in position with his scheme to be incredibly productive. Leavitt has all of that, and you don't have to guess whether or not he's capable of doing this. You know. It's just a question of, does that foot injury heal up? And LSU staff played it was a tough game for 2 weeks. Tough game. Because you're dealing with offensive staff bouncing between Baton Rouge and Oxford. You're dealing with volatile situations in the transfer portal, whether that's Sorsby potentially going to Texas Tech, whether or not Devon Williams is going in the portal from Washington. You've got Leavitt on campus, but that's maybe a more sure thing because he's healthy. So do we do that? And then Leavitt leaves and goes to Knoxville. And I'll tell you this, Lane Kiffin hopping on a plane and going to Knoxville might look a little bit crazy. And then you look back in hindsight and you go, that's the kind of hustle you got to have. This is a wild and wacky era of college football that I believe in 20 years we will look back on and go, they did what? What were the rules then? I think we'll look back at this era 20 years from now and think that was lunacy. But that's the world we're living in right now. Lunacy is the world we're living in. You got to act a little loony. So tampering, huge NIL figures, private flights to Knoxville's airport while he's in the middle of a Tennessee visit, flying to Miami, like that's the name of the game. You've got to go get players. If you're passive, you have no chance. And for all of Lane Kiffin's faults, and every single one of them will be pointed out by everybody national for a long time, for all of his faults, he's not passive. He is not passive. And he got on that airplane, and he went up there, and he mended those fences that were probably pretty well fractured when Leavitt left Baton Rouge early last week, and he got his quarterback. Now, you got an insurance policy. You bring in a quarterback from Elon, and you're still working Houston Longstreet, and you're trying to cultivate a little bit of depth in an era that really doesn't allow for much depth because anyone who could potentially be called a depth piece is probably going to leave and go somewhere else. But the most important thing that you've got to get is the starter, is the guy. Because let's be frank, all this money LSU spending in the transfer portal right now, all these additions that LSU is grabbing in the portal right now, this entire roster overhaul that's going on is completely and utterly worthless if you can't get the quarterback. Worthless. I don't care what defensive ends you got. I don't care how many wide receivers you got. Oh, by the way, it's 9. I don't care that you found a new punter. I don't care. Like, if you can't get a quarterback, none of that stuff matters. It just doesn't. You have to have the quarterback. You cannot win without that. And as of 4 days ago, as of 2 days ago, LSU had no quarterbacks. Never mind the Big 12 freshman newcomer of the year. Never mind some kind of first-round draft point. They didn't have any quarterbacks. None. So now everything starts to come together. In our next segment, we're going to talk about some of the additions that LSU's made over the weekend and then more so today, a retention of Caden Durham. I want to get to all that in the next segment. But again, none of that stuff matters at all if you can't get quarterback right. And assuming this surgery was done properly, and assuming a 22, 23-year-old healthy, athletic male is going to recover from said surgery, which all I've got is the one doctor we talked to last week. If that happens, you've got a really good quarterback. And when you've got a really good quarterback with that coach, really good stuff happens offensively. And so right now, as I sit here, if you're going to make me pick a side here on too much risk on an injured quarterback who's not going to practice in the spring, or this guy's going to heal up, he's a heck of a player, he'll get it figured out, I'm taking the second one. I think this is going to work with Sam Leavitt at LSU. It's not a guarantee, but there aren't any guarantees. If you gave me a list of quarterbacks to take that were on this piece of paper that we're looking off of for transfer portal, and you give me Sorsby, and you give me Damon Williams, you give me Leavitt, you give me Lagway, you give me Raiola, Longstreet, Knight, this whole list, I think I'm probably going Williams 1, Sorsby 2, Leavitt 3. If you give me all of those quarterbacks guaranteed to be 100% healthy, I'm not certain that Leavitt's not number 1. The only downside here is that injury, and I keep harping on it, but it's a big story. But man, if that hits, this is a turning point for the 2026 LSU team. If Leavitt is healthy, today is a turning point for the first Lane Kiffin team. Because it's exciting to watch all these guys transfer in, and we're up to like 25 transfers at this point. But there's only one that had to happen. And it happened today. Sam Leavitt coming to LSU. Huge get for Lane Kiffin, and one that changed the trajectory of LSU football in 2026, assuming everything works out well. All right, that's our opening drive. It's brought to you by our friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville. When we come back, that's not the only addition, and plus a retention. So we'll talk some more about some of the other players that LSU has pulled in over the last 48 hours. Come back with us on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Cartman and his team, they're happy to talk to you about captives. If you're a sizable business, you spend a significant amount of money on your insurance program, you've got really good loss history, you've got great risk management, you feel like you're a good risk. A captive might be a game changer for you in terms of dollars and cents. Premiums ballooning. Market is hard. So a captive might be a game changer for your business. And if your broker has not had that conversation with you, perhaps your broker isn't comfortable having that conversation or isn't capable of having that conversation. Jonathan Carbo and the team at the Highland Insurance Group, they can do it. They will do it. They handle captives every single day. I think captives are really the future of insurance. In some ways, they're the present. Jonathan and his team love to get their clients in the right fit and change the game financially. So if that's something you want to look into in 2026 and you have not had the opportunity to do so, call the Highland Insurance Group or visit them online at HighlandIG.com. Say, hey, I'd like to talk about a captive. They want to have that conversation with you. It's the Highland Insurance Group online, HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
Lockmair to Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades, but our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs, and lost income. Life can be turned upside down. At Lockmair to Sean Fagan and Associates, we'll work to turn your world right side up. Hire us, and like thousands of our clients, you'll be glad you did.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana propane dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hope that work week's off to a good start. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Always invite you to check out our stuff for free on LouisianaSports.net. Got an LSU roster tracker up there that's keeping track of players that are coming back, of players that are coming in, of players that are headed elsewhere. So that's up there for free. Also got a column about basketball that's up there for free right now, and certainly have the stories about all the players that are making the move to LSU over the last 3 or 4 days. I'm not going to do every single edition since we left you last. I think that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be 10 since Friday. There's 25 guys that LSU has grabbed.
How many receivers is that?
106. If LSU is able to run a 14 wide receiver formation next year, they're going to crush some people.
Oh, yeah.
Just crush some folks. But, yeah, those numbers are a little wacky. But I want to talk about what I think to be the most consequential moves that we've seen over the last 3 days since we last left you. It starts with a couple of retentions that I think are very important, very impactful. The first was Braylon Moore. Braylon Moore has had some options. He certainly could jump in the transfer portal if he wanted, and the NFL would be an option. I think Braylon Moore would be a middle-round draft pick. I think he did a really nice job at LSU when he was healthy this year. Obviously battled 2 leg injuries, had the ankle sprain that he suffered on the first play of the game against Louisiana Tech, and then in the Western Kentucky game, he had that foot injury. So it was a tough go for him physically in his 1 year at LSU. But when he was on the field, he was LSU's best offensive lineman. And you bring him back into the middle of that offensive line as the center, who's handling protections, who's played a ton of football. It's now 2 years as a starter at Virginia Tech and 1 year as a starter at LSU. He's got a lot of seasoning, and that's a guy that is going to come in and be right now your most proven offensive lineman. I think that's a big deal for LSU to get him. That offensive line is going to have to go through a massive amount of change. And that's from a coaching perspective, from a personnel perspective. It's a complete overhaul, and they're taking some chances on some low-level players there that they think are going to be hits eventually. But Braylon Moore coming back is a big deal. And then we got the news in the last hour that Caden Durham is going to come back to LSU as well. And I think this is great. I don't think Caden Durham has been healthy really since the middle of his freshman season. He led LSU in rushing the last 2 seasons. He led all SEC freshmen in rushing 2 years ago. I think he's a proven, capable back, and I think he's probably got more to offer than what he has offered in those 2 first seasons at LSU. I think he's been banged up. We know it was the broken toe, dislocated toe in his freshman year, and then there were ankle injuries this year that he just wasn't healthy, and LSU's offensive line didn't help him out, and LSU's play calling didn't help him out. The running game was a mess, and they're going to have to completely revamp that. But I look at the players they brought in behind Harlem Berry, And I look at Rod Gainey, and then you look at the ad that they had from out in Utah with Racine Guillory, and those two guys are smaller backs, are speed backs, and have not been featured backs to this point in their career at smaller schools. Utah's not necessarily smaller, but you don't think of you think of LSU having a little bit more talent, generally speaking, than Utah. So you have Harlan Berry as your lead back, but those two guys kind of feel like supplementary pieces, and I thought LSU probably needed to add a little bit more powerful back. I don't know if Durham is the most powerful back, but he is strong, and he is pretty tough to tackle, and I think bringing him back, he and Berry becoming the top two guys, with now Gainey and Guillory being more supplementary pieces, I think that's a solid 4. I think that's a solid group of 4. If LSU wanted to add another running backs, one that was 240 pounds, 225 pounds, I certainly wouldn't argue with that. But now your running back room looks a lot more capable. You only had one as of 2 weeks ago. You just had Berry. That was it. Juwan Johnson left. Caleb Jackson left. Durham went in the portal. You're sitting there with one. And now you've got 4, and the two guys that are at the top of that are proven SEC backs that I think will be better in a new system that is just more conducive to creating space and running the football than what LSU's had. So I love Moore and Durham coming back. Now, you look at some of the additions that LSU has made. 2 on the offensive line I want to highlight. William Satterwhite from Tennessee is now the insurance policy to Braylon Moore. He now is probably second in line to be your center behind Braylon Moore, and perhaps he can play some guard. Satterwhite's been at Tennessee for a couple of years, played in some mop-up duty over the last couple of years, has not been a starter for them, but has played a little bit, is over 300 pounds, is an interior player that's got SEC experience. So that's a guy that you bring in. I think that's a positive. And then this is one that I'm very hopeful on, but it's you're projecting here. And now there's a good source in the building for that projection, but you are projecting with Darren Stray. Darren Stray just finished his freshman season at Kentucky. Of course, he was coached by Eric Wolford at Kentucky, who's now LSU's offensive line coach. He was the number 2 player in the state of Michigan as a high schooler. He's 6'7", 305 pounds. He projects as a tackle and was certainly looked that way coming over to Kentucky. And I'm hopeful he can play tackle. I mean, I wish LSU to this point had added a proven starting left tackle from name your Power 5 school, Oklahoma State or Syracuse or NC State or whatever. I wish LSU had added that, but they haven't. They've gotten some veteran players from some smaller schools, and they've gotten a couple of guys with SEC experience that haven't been starters. You're just hoping on development on these things. And as far as Stray goes, I'm hopeful that you've got a 6'7", 4-star recruit who's got 1 year in college under your offensive line coach that can come in and play tackle. It's a projection, but I'm hopeful in that way. So those two guys I think are important to look at. And then the ad from yesterday into today, whenever you want to call it, that we all knew was coming is Winnie Watkins from Ole Miss. He's the 9th receiver that LSU has gotten in the transfer portal, which is ridiculous. They added another one in Roman Mothershed earlier today, so that makes 9. Now, Mothershed is 6'5" and has been at Troy, and they think is a real diamond in the rough that they're going to be able to get some real production out of. Watkins is speed. And Lane Kiffin loves speed wide receivers because he feels like if he can create indecision in the secondary, that the guys that can burn are the guys that make that indecision hurt. He hasn't done this at Ole Miss. He did it more at Alabama. But when you get him holding his arms up before the ball is even really snapped, that's because he knows, based on alignment, he's got a guy out there that can burn that you can't deal with. And that's what Watkins brings. Now, he wasn't a key piece to what Ole Miss was doing this year as far as wide receiver go. They had some guys that were a little bit more proven. But Watkins is out of the mold that Lane Kiffin likes. And it was evident pretty quickly that Watkins was going to be one of the guys that followed Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss to LSU. And it's, I think, likely that more guys would have followed had Ole Miss lost that Georgia game. But that Georgia win added another week to their season, inspired that fan base even more, opened the wallets even further, and created some guys staying in Oxford. Watkins was never in that camp. He was always going to follow Lane Kiffin. So that's a that doesn't feel like a project ad. You look at some of these guys, you take an offensive guard from North Carolina Central, you take a DB from Southern, you take some of these guys that LSU has taken who are from the FCS or the Group of Five, and it feels like you might be betting on the come a little bit here. Watkins has been in an SEC program. He's played in Southeastern Conference games. You know what his skill set is. You know that it translates into Lane Kiffin's offense. You've seen it. They bring him in. I think it's likely, in my estimation, that Watkins makes an impact on next year's team at wide receiver. You had 9 wide receivers in the portal. You had 2 on the team. That's 11. You signed 3. You're talking about 14 wide receivers. That's too many to even come close to getting them all involved. You're probably going to have a core group of 5 or 6. And I believe that Watkins will be in that core group of 5 or 6. To what degree? Closer to 1 or closer to 6? I can't tell you that now. I'd like to see a spring and maybe a little bit of fall camp to give you a better idea on that. But I feel like Watkins has a really good chance to be in that group of the top 5. So I like these SEC ads. I like these guys that have proven themselves in those programs. And I think there are going to be plenty of guys that LSU signs that don't work out next year that maybe have a couple of years of eligibility. Watkins is in that camp. It's something that I'm going to go through when this whole thing settles and look at how many guys that you've brought in that have multiple years of eligibility. But it is the vast majority of LSU's portal signees. Like, you looked at last year's class, so many Jack Pyburns, Patrick Paytons, Jamari Butlers, so many guys you brought in that had 1 year to play. Josh Thompson, 1 year to play. Like, you're bringing in guys who, this is it. And in this class, you're bringing in a lot of guys who have 2 or 3 years of eligibility left. A lot. And so I think you're, in some ways, now all those guys can leave. They can bolt after next year. But you've got an opportunity to get some guys in for multiple years, maybe that you can develop, you can bring along, and really make things a little bit more stable. Because I don't think Lane Kiffin wants to add 30 kids a year. Like, he can do it. He's done it before. He did it at Ole Miss. He's doing it at LSU. But I don't think you want to do this every single year. You'd rather keep that number probably closer to 12 ads, not 30. And this is going to be a 30 spot because they're at 25 already, and they're not done. So it's a massive, massive overhaul on this roster. But I think if you look at all these names and look at what LSU's brought in, you got the quarterback. That's the biggest thing. You bring back your center on the offensive front and a proven running back, and then you go get some SEC guys on the offensive line that you feel like can help. You're moving in the right direction. I've got my concerns. I think on the offensive line I still have significant concerns, but your roster looks vastly different now than it did last Monday, and that you knew was coming, and you're here. So they're not done, but they've got this thing looking more respectable now than certainly when they got here. So it's been a wild flurry of events, but here we are in good old portal season. All right, that's a lot of LSU football. We'll get back to LSU football starting in the second hour. We're going to have a writer come on from Sun Devil Source. I was thinking Scoop for some reason. I was like, that's not right. It's Sooner Scoop, Sun Devil Source. And interestingly, I shot the text over to him and realized the last time we talked was when Jaden Daniels transferred. So I was like, you sent me another quarterback. Can you come talk about it? And he's like, sure. So we'll talk about that in 30 minutes. We'll also chat with Denton Day about Sam Leavitt as well an hour from right now. I've got a column up on LouisianaSports.net. This could be a transformative week in LSU basketball. I want to talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Speaking of remodeling bathrooms, a guy, Brian Haldane, right across the street, has a morning show on Talk 107.3. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Does an awesome job there. Also does some production work for the LSU Sports Radio Network for us. Brian called David Duvall, said, hey, got to get a bathroom redone. And he put some pictures up on his personal Facebook account, and it is awesome. It looks fantastic. He was thrilled with David's work, and you will be too if you reach out to David Duvall. Call somebody that's been doing it for 30 years. Call somebody that's licensed, bonded, and insured. Call somebody that's got a master plumber on staff. Call somebody that you can trust. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. If you're thinking about remodeling that bathroom, if you're thinking about remodeling that closet, installing a new closet, just getting something done the first quarter here of 2026. Let David and his team come do it. See pictures of their great work on the website. It's onebathandclosets.com. Have that free consultation, that free sit down, and talk with him about what he can do for you. It's One Bath and Closets. Find him online at onebathandclosets.com.
South Louisiana, it's turnaround season, and River Parish Contractors is calling in the best of the best. We're hiring pipe fitters, iron workers, boiler makers, combo and structural welders, rig welders, carpenters, crane operators, dirt operators, and more. If you're ready to work, ready to earn, and ready to build something that lasts, call Big Jake at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google, based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Saints got to run the ball a little bit better. We'll talk about it coming up in 15 minutes. Ross Jackson's got a good piece up at LouisianaSports.net that kind of prompted my thinking on that. So we'll discuss that. And we'll talk with Sun Devil sources Chris Cartman coming up in 30 minutes. I just want to say scoop. That's what wants to come out. Sun Devil source Chris Cartman. We'll talk to him coming up in 25 minutes. Okay, so here's the deal with LSU basketball. They got smoked on Saturday against Vanderbilt. Vandy, way too good offensively for LSU, especially without Deon Thomas. Just not going to be able to keep up with a team that's that good. And look, Vanderbilt's very, very good. Here's the deal with LSU. They're 0-3 in the league. And 0-3 in the league is not a death sentence, okay? The loss to South Carolina was awful. Awful. But 0-3 is not a death sentence. But here's the situation that's upon us. This week is do or die for LSU basketball. This week. I am transparent with you all. I said this literally the first show that I did for Guarantee as a full-time host. It was Hunt and Hill. The first show. I sat in this chair. I said, here's the deal. I get a check from LSU during football season. You will not hear me in this chair say, fire the coach. Never going to happen. football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, gymnastics. I'm not going fire the coach. Now, I can give a reasonable take and back it up with statistics and opinion and all that, and then I do, and I will. But you're not going to hear me get to that point, okay? So let's look at where LSU sits right now. When Matt McMahon took this thing over, it had been burned to the ground. Burned to the ground. I think he had one player left, Mwani Wilkinson. And he had no chance to recruit that first roster because the NCAA was breathing down his neck, and he took some guys from Murray State. They were terrible. KJ Williams did it all, and then you went to year two. In year two, he put together a 500 team. Jordan Wright helped out. You were decent. They were 500 team. And then year three, he didn't have nearly enough NIL dollars. That was still the Wild Wild West NIL. You can pay anybody, anything, anytime. And he didn't have a nearly big enough war chest, and LSU was completely outmatched by the best we've ever seen in the SEC. I'm not giving excuses. I'm telling you what happened. And this year, LSU upped the ante and spent money on this roster. And I believe the roster that I watched play in November and December was good enough to be a 500 SEC team. I never suggested that LSU was going to be in the top 4 in the league, or that LSU would be in the mix to win the conference championship, or would be a locked tournament team. I thought, based on what I saw, that LSU is probably a 500 league team. You go 12-1 in the non-conference, you go 500 in SEC play, you're in the tournament. You're a 7, 8, 9, 10 seed. You're in. And I think that should have been the expectation and should be the expectation. Now, it is a bad freaking break that Jalen Reed got hurt and's out for the year, and that your best player and most important player missed the first 3 league games. That's a terrible break. You got 85 guys playing tackle football, you're going to have guys go out. But you can go through a basketball season pretty healthy. And so and DJ Thomas's injury could have come in November when they would have won the games anyway. Instead, it comes right at the front of league play, which stinks. But you've lost 2 road games to good teams, and then you lost 1 home game that you should not have lost. And you got down 30 in that game, which looks really ugly. But 0-3 is not a death sentence. But here's what's coming, and I've talked about this. Next week, not this week. This week, you're Wednesday, Saturday, not those 2 games. Those are at home, and I'll talk about them. The following week, you are at Arkansas and at Florida. You're not going to win those 2 games. Those 2 teams are good. They're at home. You got the reigning national champions and an Arkansas team that is uber talented. You're going to lose those 2 games. That means this week it is do or die. If LSU wins 2 games this week at home, Kentucky is 9-6. They lost at Rupp to Missouri. If you can beat Kentucky Wednesday and beat Missouri at home on Saturday, you're okay. You're 2-3. You're probably going to go to 2-5, but you can survive from that if you win those 2 games. If you go 1-1, you're up against it. Because if you go 1-1, you're looking at 1-6. And 1-6 is going to be really difficult for this group to come back from. And if you go 0-2 on your home floor, you will go to 0-7, and you can turn out the lights on this basketball season. That's what's at stake for LSU this week in basketball. Losing at Vandy, no big deal. Losing a tight game at Texas A&M, not even really that big a deal. We talked about this over Christmas. Said, look, that's an 18-game schedule. This is before we knew Thomas was hurt. They're going to have some days where they get crushed, and I think they're going to win some games. I think they're good enough to compete in this league. And losing on the road at Vandy is not that big a deal, and losing a tight game at A&M is not that big a deal. You have 1 game that you've played out of 18 so far that's a big deal. 1, South Carolina, and you lost. Big deal. These next 2 will tell the tale. 2-0, you're okay. You are okay. 1-1, okay, you're in some trouble. 0-2, forget it. This is the biggest week of the Matt McMahon era at LSU. And here's my thought on the team, to put a bow on this. I don't know what De'Don Thomas's injury is, and I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know if he's playing on Wednesday or if he's not playing for 2 more weeks. I don't know. If he's back on Wednesday and healthy, they can beat Kentucky. Like SMU, who LSU boat raced in New Orleans, SMU beat North Carolina by double digits. They beat Texas A&M by double digits. The Aggies are unbeaten in the league. Now, they got some help at Auburn, but they're unbeaten in the league. LSU at its best, with Thomas out there, is pretty good. Like, they're okay. Without him, they're not. So, I realize where we are. You've lost 3 games in a row. It was an embarrassment against South Carolina. I get it. And you heard the caveat that I gave you at the top of this segment about where I'm willing to go. But y'all understand what's at stake here. 0-7, you're cooked. Obviously. But if they can find a way to get Thomas back this week and play 2 good games on their home floor, they can beat Kentucky and Missouri. And then all of a sudden, we change the narrative of this conversation. But you're up against it now. This is the biggest week of Matt McMahon's time at LSU. I'm certainly pulling for him. I'll be in the PMAC on Wednesday. I don't know what kind of crowd will be there. It's a Kentucky team that they spent $22 million on, and they're a little bit lost. They played good on Saturday. Mississippi State's not any good. There are games on this schedule that LSU can win. Doesn't feel like it because they hadn't won in a while, but I promise you there are. They played some pretty damn good basketball in November, December at times. That's got to come back starting Wednesday. So I don't know what the latest on Deon Thomas is, and I'm assuming Matt Mann will meet with media tomorrow, but if they can get him back, you got a chance. If you can't, it's just a brutal break that comes in a 4-year span of some pretty not-so-good breaks. From the Jalen Cook in and out to the Jalen Reed injury last year to Deon Thomas this year. It's just nothing's clicked. I think you got a week. Make it happen. All right, that's a look at LSU basketball. We're back to football the rest of the show. We're going to talk some Saints here coming up in the next segment. Chris Cartman will join us coming up in 20 minutes talking Sam Leavitt. He's with the Sun Devil Source. Denton Day, SiriusXM, College Football Overtime's with us at 2:30. Plenty to do. I want to remind you about our friends at Fabry Chevrolet and GMC. Fabry Chevrolet and GMC. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville under new ownership now. They've been with you for 35 years, the Fabry family. You know when you shop with the Fabry family, you get a wonderful buying experience. You get incredible customer service. You're just treated fairly. That's what the Fabry family will do. And they'll do it now under the Chevy GMC umbrella. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. If you're looking for Chevy Tahoe or Chevy Suburban, want to get us an SUV, they got them. Looking for a GMC SUV, Sierra, Yukon, Denali, they got those as well. They got the whole inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. So go see it there or make the short drive up to St. Francisville. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 1 in St. Francisville. That entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com. How do the Saints run the ball better? We'll talk about it to close out the hour next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. If you're looking for a commercial loan, you're looking for a residential loan, deal with First American Bank and Trust. They're part of our community. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. That means 2 things. One, there's always one near you, whether you're in St. Tammany Parish, Tangipahoa Parish up there along I-12, down in St. James, St. John's, Lafourche, Terrebonne. They got branches down there as well. So there's always one near you. The second thing is they've got the resources that you need. When I say a community bank, I say that affectionately, but maybe sometimes you might misconstrue that as mom and pop shop that they can't really do all the things that you need them to do from a commercial loan perspective. Not true. First American Bank and Trust with 25 locations absolutely can. And they also give you that community feel. Folks that work at First American Bank and Trust, they walk around with you in the community. The people that make the decisions on your commercial loan, on your residential loan, those people are in your community at First American Bank and Trust as well. You get a call from a call center, it's in Southeast Louisiana. Not Seattle, not Atlanta, not Tampa, right here. It's First American Bank and Trust. Stop in and see them today. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. It's First American Bank and Trust.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience, or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Among the most important factors to consider when you're hiring an injury attorney is trust. You trust your attorney will put your interest first, treat you with respect, fairness, and honesty. You trust them to be there for you when you need them. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, thousands of clients have trusted us to represent them, and for good reasons. Please visit us at LockeMeredith.com to learn more, and whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Most roofers just replace your shingles. At Pelican, we diagnose your roof, digging deep down to find the root cause of your roof symptoms. Now cough for me? Good. We don't ignore your roof's issues, we address them. Let's just take care of this right here. Helping your roof to become the best version of itself. Interesting that you would say that. How does that make you feel? So call Pelican Roofing for your free roof checkup today.
South Louisiana, it's turnaround season, and River Parish Contractors is calling in the best of the best. We're hiring pipe fitters, ironworkers, boiler makers, combo and structural welders, rig welders, carpenters, crane operators, dirt operators, and more. If you're ready to work, ready to earn, and ready.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Well, Matt Zenitz, 24/7 Sports, tweets that Tennessee is not giving up on Sam Leavitt. Still optimistic that they may be able to get him to Knoxville. Who freaking knows? It's just, I don't know. I guess you got to get something signed. Clearly, that is not signed just yet. If anything breaks on it, we'll certainly pivot to that. I can't sit here and just wait. I guess. I don't know. We'll talk about Sam Leavitt in the next segment with Chris Cartman with Sun Devil Source, who covered Sam Leavitt for a couple of years, and we'll just discuss things as if he's coming to LSU. That was certainly the indication that everybody had this morning, and now Zenit's tweeting, hey, by the way, Tennessee still thinks they can get him. Who knows? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we'll keep you updated if anything happens here over the course of the next hour and 15 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about the Saints. Ross Jackson's got an interesting piece up at LouisianaSports.net about the Saints' rushing attack. And Kellen Moore has called plays for now 4 different teams. Saints, Eagles, Chargers, Cowboys. And one of the hallmarks of Kellen Moore's time is he's really had good rushing attacks. And the Saints were bad running the football this year. Ross points out the statistics. They were 23rd in the NFL in carries. They were 28th in rushing yards. They were 31st, nearly dead last in yards per carry. They had 9 rushing touchdowns. That was tied for 27th. Yards before contact per rush, 0.9, so didn't even get a yard down the field on average before contact. That's 30th in the NFL, only 2 teams worse. And then yards after contact, number 25, weren't exactly dynamic enough to get free once contact was made. So you're in the bottom handful in just about every rushing statistic that's meaningful. So, how do you change that? Because you can't compete for championships if you can't run the ball. It just is what it is. Doesn't matter if it's high school, doesn't matter if it's college, doesn't matter if it's NFL. This is not Evangel in 1999 anymore. You got to run the football, and the Saints couldn't do it. So how do you help that? Well, one, you got to get Eric McCoy back. You got to get him in the middle of your offensive line at center and playing at the Pro Bowl level that he can play at. Your two tackles are in their first year and second year respectively. They've got to make strides. And then to me, you've got to add at guard. I can't imagine any team in the NFL was worse at guard this past year than the Saints. It would be shocking to me if anybody was worse. So whether that's free agency, whether that's a second round pick, so some way, shape, or form, you've got to add a guard. So that way you should be better at least 4 of the 5 spots. Healthy McCoy, new guard, and then very, very young tackles getting older. 4 spots should upgrade. That'll help. Then you need your backs to be healthy. Audric Esime was a great story at the end of the season, and maybe there's a role for him in New Orleans moving forward. There certainly have been plenty of undrafted players to find their way to the field. There have been plenty of guys cast off from one place that landed another that played, and you know that the Broncos didn't have room for him, so the Saints took him in, and maybe there's a spot for him. But maybe you draft Jeremiah Love in the first round. Like, get Kamara healthy and maybe have him as a second piece. But you got to have maybe Devin Neal is a key piece, but you got to have more talent at running back than what you had at the end of the season when it just felt like you were grabbing guys off the street to go play, right? That's the most important 2 pieces to this puzzle. Now, one thing that I really like moving into next year is that Kellen Moore can feature some of the quarterback run with Tyler Shuck. I wasn't certain that Shuck had that kind of rushing ability. You see the late runs he made against Carolina, and you see him winning to the corner of the end zone at Atlanta. You see these athletic plays. You can use him. You don't want to use him too much. You don't want to get him too banged up. But I don't know if Kellen Moore felt like he was going to use the quarterback run a lot with Spencer Rattler out there. You certainly didn't see a lot of it. But it's clear that he knows how to do that. Jalen Hurts ran the ball very well with him in Philadelphia. So there are 3 aspects to this running portion that I think can really improve. And then the 4th one is an ancillary thing. If you add a stud wide receiver, if you go out to Arizona State, you get Jordan Tyson, you plug him in, Olave comes back healthy, Bailey comes back healthy, and you've got a more dynamic receiving core than you had, then obviously teams have to allot their focus to places, and if they've got to spend more time dealing with those guys on the outside, you just free up numbers in the box to run the ball a little bit better. The Saints, as a goal, need to go from around 23, 28, 31 and all these numbers closer to 11, 12, 13 in these numbers. I'm not asking you to become the most dominant run team in the league next year, but you do need to crack into the top half and not be right now towards the bottom. So if you improve yourself at 4 different offensive line spots, the way we outlined, if you get Kamara healthy and maybe add a back to your rotation that is a big talent, well, then you get better at that spot. And then you use Tyler Shuck more to run the ball with the quarterback run, which is an option in your offense. And then you maybe potentially add a weapon on the outside that lessens the focus in the box. I think it's reasonable to expect the Saints to run the ball a little bit better. You will not win the division or make any sort of push in the playoffs if you are fluttering around 29th in the NFL in all the meaningful rushing statistics. Can't be done. So that's obviously going to be a huge focus. And the good news is, to me, as I mentioned, you don't have to wonder whether or not Kellen Moore can cultivate a solid ground game. He has done it multiple spots. It's something he absolutely believes in. But this team, this roster, this personnel, this situation just didn't allow for the Saints to get a running game going because your offensive line was not playing very well and not healthy. Your backs were brutally injured and you were picking up guys off the street and you were changing quarterbacks in the middle of the season. So I think that that's a very, very attainable goal for New Orleans to become a much more capable rushing team in 2026. And certainly you hope that's the case because that's what you're going to need to be the best team you can be. So go read Ross's piece up at louisianasports.net. Check that out. I think it's very well thought out, and I think that it sheds some light on a real sore spot for the Saints this past year. All right, that's a look at the New Orleans Saints here. We got a lot of LSU to get to in the second hour. So Jordan, let you kind of opine on the Saints ground game. What's your confidence level? They can run it a little bit better next year.
I think it'll be pretty high. It don't even have to be Jeremiah Love top 10. I just think that you do need a more solidified backfield between, we don't know what we're going to get out of Kendrick next year. I'm pretty much, that ship has sailed. I'm pretty much done with that. Kamara's not getting younger, and Devin Neal, can he stay healthy? So you're in a position where I think, I'm not saying, grab some randoms off the street, definitely draft one. I'm not all the way in that necessarily with the top 10 pick yet, but you do need to bring somebody in because look, all the teams still left. They all can run the ball well. We just seen what a running game did for Caleb Williams. I would like to see that for Tyler Shuck.
No doubt. The Bears went from a terrible running team last year to a really good one this year. Ben Johnson calling the shots. What a wild game that was on the lakefront in Chicago. I'm trying to get some Alex Bregman content in my life via podcast, and all my Chicago people were talking about the Bears, which is what they should be talking about.
We spoke that into existence.
We did?
We spoke him to the Cubs into existence.
I was struggling to find anybody with Bregman takes in Chicago because they're all locked in on Caleb Williams.
I mean, did you see that comeback?
I did.
I would be talking about it too.
The Bregman news broke in the middle of the comeback. It was the huge night in Chicago sports. Guy on the morning show in Chicago this morning said that it was the biggest night in Chicago sports since the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Which
I believe it. Yeah.
Beating the Packers down 21-3. It's a pretty big deal. Missed any of the first hour? Catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU is where you can find our LSU content. Hunt on Saints where you can find our Saints content. We got a lot to do in hour number 2. We'll go out to the Valley of the Sun, talk to Chris Cartman from Sun Devil Source about Sam Leavitt, who we think is coming to Baton Rouge. Maybe he's going to Knoxville. We'll see. Maybe we find that out in the next hour. Pause after Sports Center.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Marucci. Right here in Baton Rouge, 24 years ago? That's the number. Yeah, nope. 22 years ago. There it is. 22 years ago. Just fired up in the backyard shed. Let's make a bat. Now all of a sudden they're the official bat of Major League Baseball. It's such a cool thing to have here in Baton Rouge. Go take a tour. Visit them at maruccisports.com/campus-tour and go see it. Go see where they make 1,200 bats a day. Every ticket comes with a 20% discount. If you want to go in there and see where the bats are made, you can do that. You want to go in there, grab a bat, take some hacks in the batting cage, do that. It's perfect for a class outing, perfect for a team outing. I know baseball teams are getting together in January for that spring season that's coming up. You want to do a little team bonding exercise? Send them out to Marucci. See where the bats for the Major League Baseball players are made. They're online at maruccisports.com. That's maruccisports.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This new year, Hood Dental wants you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays, a $376 value. With over 3,000 5-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care, Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And for January only, save 15% up to $150 on restorative treatment. Schedule today at hooddentalcare.com.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free, confidential help now.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. NFL Wildcard Weekend caps off tonight with the Texans visiting the Steelers on Monday Night Football. Major challenge for Pittsburgh, facing a Houston team that's won 9 straight, led by the best defense in the league. To get their first playoff win in 9 years, the Steelers need a balanced attack on offense, advises ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck.
They need to be able to run the football, but when we're talking about the Steelers passing the ball, I think it's critical for them to move Aaron Rodgers around, meaning you can't have him be a stationary target just in the pocket right behind the center. So I think play action, move the pocket stuff so that you don't always know where to find him.
Texans Steelers, 8 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. Pittsburgh receiver DK Metcalf returns tonight from a 2-game suspension. Packers expected to try to work out a deal in the coming days to keep coach Matt LaFleur, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. 5-time major champion Brooks Koepka returning to the PGA Tour as part of a new returning member program, which also would allow 3 of LIV's other top golfers to come back if they want.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. Which playoff teams will be left in my top 5 power rankings? Find out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Denton Day, college football overtime on SiriusXM is going to be with us at 2:30. We'll talk about the national final with Denton, which comes up here in a week. But a lot of news in the transfer portal the last couple of weeks. Last time LSU went out to the Valley of the Sun and picked up a quarterback, it worked out okay. Jaden Daniels ended up hoisting some hardware here in South Louisiana. It looks like Sam Leavitt is going to be next in line here in Baton Rouge, although Matt Zenitz of CBS is reporting that Tennessee is still holding out hope that they can get the former Arizona State quarterback. But to talk about Sam Leavitt and what LSU fans could expect should he show up in Baton Rouge, it's Chris Cartman from Sun Devil Source. Give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. We appreciate it, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just trying to stay out of the transfer portal vortex.
It's hard to do so. LSU signed 25 kids, so it's just it's a constant cycle of players coming on in. Let's talk about Sam Leavitt and the impact that he made for 2 seasons as the starter there at Arizona State, starting with obviously his freshman season that it resulted in a playoff run. What made him as good as he was, and what made that team as good as they were 2 years ago when he won Big 12 Newcomer of the Year?
Yeah, just tremendous competitiveness and desire. I think the top line perspective, he benefited quite a lot from a very potent run game that was led by Cam Scadaboo, who was one of the best running backs in the country, top 4 in the Heisman voting. and also Jordan Tyson, one of the best wide receivers in the country that season. But I think Leavitt was really great at limiting mistakes, especially for a redshirt freshman who had never started before. His interception rate and his jeopardy ball rate were extremely low. And he has really good physical tools. He's a borderline great athlete for a quarterback in terms of his ability to scramble, to extend drive. He's got really good pocket movement and ability. He makes off-platform throws with ease, a lot of arm talent. So there's a lot of really great physical traits that he has, and then he really minimized the mistakes in that season.
How much does he use his athleticism to run the football game in, game out?
So they didn't really do a lot of design runs. It wasn't like the Haynes Kings of the world where you're intentionally trying to do a lot of read option or design quarterback power or draws. It's more just his athleticism enabled him situationally to understand when to run, to move the chains, and he is very good at that. I don't think that you want to expose him too much. He is coming off of foot surgery to repair a stretched out Liz Frank tendon or ligament in the middle of his foot. That's what ended his season. And some might say that how much that he runs or had to run or whatever could have contributed to exposing himself to that type of an injury. And that's also going to keep him to where he's limited in spring ball. So that makes for a little bit more of a challenging introduction to the offense of Lane Kiffin. And he won't be able to do quite as much as you would probably like to have him doing for somebody who's a new quarterback coming in.
And you alluded to this a little bit in your first answer, but I'm curious, if you took his running ability away and purely put him in the pocket, what kind of just pure passer would you call him?
He's accurate. He can make all the throws. Yeah. When I say accurate, he's reasonably accurate. He can get better, but he has arm talent to make all the throws. I think his tendency was he wanted to throw the ball to Jordan Tyson a little bit more than perhaps he should have. That's a hard thing because Tyson's so good and he's so able to get open, and ASU's offense did such a good job of moving him around the formation to try to get him into spots that they could take advantage. But I think that Leavitt's tendency was less likely to try to make progression reads and to really identify vulnerabilities away from Tyson in coverage. So that's another area where I'm interested to see how he does at LSU, which I'm sure is going to have a variety of weapons. And then part of that, of course, is how much confidence and calmness is felt in the pocket to be able to get to some of these second and third looks in a progression, and whether or not he didn't feel like he had that, especially this past season at ASU, which had some injuries along the offensive line, compared to what he would have liked.
Chris Cartman's our guest. He covers Arizona State for Sun Devil Source, talking a little bit of Sam Leavitt here on this Monday. Tell me about off the field, in the locker room. I mean, transfer quarterbacks are all over the place now, and he was a transfer into Arizona State at one point as well. So how do you feel like he is as a leader, as a teammate?
Yeah, he actually is extremely hardworking, passionate. He was managed, I would say, by Kenny Dillingham very early on for being a little bit too abrasive with teammates, and just from demanding everybody do their jobs and be responsible to what they're supposed to be doing on and off the field. And the fact that he hadn't started or demonstrated his own capability prior to that, I think was a little bit difficult. After he had that first season, then he really became a lot more respected, I think, by his teammates, especially given that he is a hard worker and a real passionate, fiery type of a guy. The way that things ended at ASU was it rubbed ASU's fans kind of the wrong way because he decided to not go to ASU's football banquet before any reporting that he was going to be going to the transfer portal. So the way that things ended, I think, kind of undercut the reputation that he had prior to that. But there's no doubt that he's a top shelf competitor who wants to be great and is willing to push himself and his teammates toward that end.
Were you surprised he entered the transfer portal?
Not really, because we're in a world of financial considerations, and Sam Leavitt is very likely to be paid between revenue share and NIL at the top of the market. He was the number one transfer portal overall player. I had heard even before Sorsby ended up at Texas Tech that he was going to get around $5 million. And Leavitt, I expect to be kind of in that ballpark. I don't know exactly, but ASU spent probably half as much on a quarterback replacement, and then ASU ended up with the number one wide receiver transfer haul in the country with 2 top 5 wide receivers. And so there's strategy involved in how you construct the roster. Had ASU spent all the money that maybe would have enabled the possibility of Leavitt returning, it would have been harder to surround him with a lot more talent. And I think that Leavitt knew that going to a place like LSU, that wouldn't be a concern.
And last one here, I want to deviate over to Jaden Daniels. What was your impression of what he became at LSU after 2 seasons? Could you have envisioned that was a Heisman Trophy winner for those first 3 years at Arizona State?
Well, when Jaden Daniels signed with ASU, I called him a generational talent. I thought he was the best quarterback prospect that I had ever seen sign with ASU, going back 20-plus years covering recruiting. He was misused, I think, at ASU. They tried to do things with him that he wasn't as quite ready for or as well suited for. And a lot of the coaching problems contributed to him sort of not having as much of a growth in his subsequent seasons after his first season. And I think that LSU's coaching staff, Brian Kelly in particular, did a really great job when Daniels got to LSU of adjusting things offensively that worked well within his comfort zone and then gradually expanded what he was able to do in a way that contributed to Daniels being extremely successful. I was surprised that he was able to, as quickly as possible, or as quickly as he did, develop into a Heisman Trophy quarterback and, top overall pick. But I am not surprised whatsoever that he had that ability in him that eventually got to that place.
Let's hope Sam Leavitt has a similar trajectory here in Baton Rouge. That'll make a lot of people around here very, very happy. Chris, we appreciate a little bit of time on this Monday. Have a great week.
My pleasure. Thanks. Chris
Cartman from Sun Devil Source over there talking Sam Leavitt and LSU. For those that may be a little bit confused with the thing that I said there at the top, it feels like Sam Leavitt is going to be at LSU. There hasn't been an announcement from LSU as if there's some sort of signature that's been delivered to this point, and Matt Zenitz is reporting that Tennessee is still holding out hope. Well, and the ink's not dry. You certainly can't hold out hope. So it's just a weird deal. It's like anything in free agency. There are some reports that things are trending a certain way, and then it becomes official. I certainly expect that that's going to be the case, but as of right now, Tennessee still feels like it can throw its hat in the ring. So hopefully that's not the case, because I spent the first 15 minutes of the show today talking about how big a deal it was that LSU landed Sam Leavitt. So hopefully that is the case. And you heard from Chris there that that's a guy that's got a lot of really good traits. He mentioned the great athleticism. He mentioned that he can make all the throws. He mentioned that he's incredibly competitive and a fierce competitor and a leader. And then things are a little bit bumpy on the way out with the banquet and all that. And it's just the way the calendar lines up and the way things go, those are kind of things that happen with the transfer portal opening up. But I think that Leavitt's a difference maker, and I think that he makes everything else go into motion because you just had to get quarterback right. And I feel like LSU got as good a quarterback as anybody in the transfer portal. Certainly on 3 thinks he's the best. So it's a big deal that LSU is able to get Sam Leavitt to Baton Rouge. We'll continue to talk about that with Denton Day coming up in 15 minutes as we move forward here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Make the short drive to St. Francisville, right there on Highway 61. You know that there's a dealership right there on 61. You go, I didn't know it was a Fabry. Well, it wasn't until October 1st. They've been rocking and rolling over there for October, November, December, into January, so a little bit over 3 months now at that location, and so proud of it. You know, the Fabry family's been here for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. You know what you're going to get when it comes to dealing with the Fabry family. It's going to be a pleasant buying experience. It's going to be incredible customer service. You're going to get wonderful service in the service department as well, where they service all makes in that service department. So if you're having some issues, you're up there in the St. Francisville area, in the Felicianas or in Point Capee, even North Baton Rouge or Baker, head on over to St. Francisville and see the folks at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Happy to get that service work done on your vehicle. Again, they're Highway 61 in St. Francisville. You can find that entire inventory online at fabrychevrolet.com. fabrychevrolet.com.
South Louisiana, it's turnaround season, and River Parish Contractors is calling in the best of the best. We're hiring pipe fitters, iron workers, boiler makers, combo and structural welders, rig welders, carpenters, crane operators, dirt operators, and more. If you're ready to work, ready to earn, and ready to build something that lasts, call Big Jake at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
Supreme Jasmine is premium American-grown rice. From local farms to your table, every grain is supreme. Pick up a bag of Jasmine or any other of our Supreme American rice.
This new year, Hood Dental wants you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays, a $376 value. With over 3,000 5-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care, Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And for January only, save 15% up to $150 on restorative treatment. Schedule today at hooddentalcare.com.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith with Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates. We take great pride in educating our clients about their rights. Whether you're injured at work or while you drive, call our office at 272-5555. Knowledge is power, and you should know your rights after an injury.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Well, I'll tell you this with confidence. Sam Leavitt's going to be a rich dude. I don't know how rich, and I don't know exactly where the money's going to come from, and I'm not 100% certain what color jersey he's going to wear next year, but he's going to be rich. This is the latest tweet from the folks over at On3. Says, new, Tennessee and Sam Leavitt's camp have been in regular contact throughout Monday, and the Volunteers were never told he was going to LSU, Pete Nakos reports. Now, everybody reported this morning that LSU is in agreement with Sam Leavitt, and that is probably true. I don't think anyone just made that up. You had Hayes Fawcett had it, Pete Thamel had it, Shea Dixon had it, Matt Moscona checked on it for LouisianaSports.net. I think LSU did have an agreement with Sam Leavitt, but an agreement is worthless unless you got ink on paper. If that happened and Tennessee just doesn't know about it, great. If it didn't and Tennessee's still hustling, well, they can still hustle. The only deadline here is going into the portal. And Leavitt's in the portal, so he can take his time with this. There's not like a hard and fast deadline that's anywhere near right now that he's got to make a call. And again, I don't mean to freak everyone out here. That's not the point. I'm telling you, I think Sam Leavitt's going to come to LSU. But I don't think Nakos is making this stuff up either. And the fact of the matter is that as the quarterback dominoes begin to fall, and Sorsby goes to Texas Tech, and Chambliss says he's going to stay at Ole Miss, and you start to look around, and the big-name guys are basically taken, and Leavitt's kind of the only one standing there, well, you can drive that bidding war up. You can. And so maybe that's what he's doing, or maybe Nakos is late to the party and things have already happened in Baton Rouge. I don't know. I can't tell you. Until LSU's official account tweets out, calling Baton Rouge official Sam Leavitt LSU, we can speculate. I don't know how healthy that is, but you can. But what about outside of Leavitt? We didn't spend a lot of time about that in the first hour. And LSU has made a move beyond Sam Leavitt, and it is going to get Landon Clark from Elon. Now, look, I said this on Friday, and I will say this again today, okay? Because Lane Kiffin took a quarterback from Ferris State and produced a team capable of going to the Final Four, of going 11-1, that doesn't mean that every quarterback from D2 or the FCS or the G5 is going to come in and just high power an offense towards 11-1. There's a reason that Landon Clark was at Elon and not Ohio State. He's 6 feet tall. He's 185 pounds. He's not going to run a 4.2, but he's played some football. He started 12 games this year. He threw for 2,300 yards. He threw for 18 touchdowns. He also showed some athleticism, ran the ball, and he's got 3 years of eligibility remaining, and he's probably not going to demand that he's your starting quarterback. So this is the aisle that you've got to shop on when you have no quarterbacks. When you have no quarterbacks, you're going to have to go take a chance on a lower level player with maybe a lower ceiling at a reasonable price to come in and accept being the backup. And I think that that's what Landon Clark is agreeing to at this point. We're still going after Leavitt, Sam Leavitt. We're still going after Husan Longstreet. We're still going after some other quarterbacks. But if you want to come here, here's what we can promise you financially. You've got 3 years of eligibility remaining. Oh, by the way, if we get Leavitt, he can't practice in the spring. You'll get a ton of reps. It's an attractive spot to make some money, get some practice reps, and then you're probably not going to be the starter in the fall. This is the aisle you've got to shop on. This does not mean that LSU signed the next Trinidad Chambliss. Small school, small stature, started some games, won some games. There are parallels, but not every D2 quarterback is going to come to the SEC and set Georgia's defense on fire. That doesn't happen very often. Speaking of Husan Longstreet, LSU is going to continue to recruit him. And it would be awesome if LSU could land him and have 3 quarterbacks in the mix. back in the day when you had Marcus Randall, Jamarcus Russell, Matt Flynn, Jarrett Lee, like you had this pipeline of quarterbacks and they all stuck around. Like that doesn't happen anymore. You got to go get a new quarterback or two every year. In LSU's case, 3 is probably going to be the number they got to get to. Emil Picarella is on the roster. He had some opportunities to go play some places at a smaller level. He wanted to come to LSU, so he's there. That's a nice inventory insurance policy as a 3rd, 4th string quarterback. But LSU's not just going to stop with the quarterback from Elon. They're not just going to stop with, you got Sam Leavitt, he's your starter. Okay. You got to have some bodies at quarterback. And LSU is working on that. So hopefully you get ink dry on Sam Leavitt today. You continue to recruit Longstreet, who, look, may want to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to be a starter. If he comes and Sam Leavitt comes, he's probably not going to be the starter. But injuries happen. Certainly did with Leavitt this year. Certainly did at Lane Kiffin's previous job with Austin Simmons. And you might put yourself in position to play in a very advantageous spot. LSU's got a lot of good wide receivers. They bring back their 2 running backs. We'll see what they do on the offensive line, but it's a pretty attractive place to come play quarterback. Seems like they've got Leavitt in. They're going to continue to recruit Longstreet. You've got Clark in. This is if they can do that, if they can get Leavitt, Longstreet, and Clark, that's as good as you can do. That's a proven starter. That's a former 5-star, and that's a depth piece from a smaller school that was willing to come and be a part of the team. That's as good as you can do. So I'll be monitoring this. If anything breaks over the next 25 minutes, we'll tell you. But this feels like a really good job by Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr., George McDonald, Billy Glasscock, this entire offensive brain trust to go out there and work a very, very difficult situation in the portal with no quarterbacks on your roster to go get, yes, a star and also some depth pieces behind it. Not done yet. You don't have Leavitt. You don't have Longstreet. All you have is Clark. But they're moving in the right direction. It feels like they're doing a very, very good job. And so we'll continue to monitor as we move forward. Check out LouisianaSports.net for free. All your LSU content is there, again, for free. And check out Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. All your LSU content right there at Hunt on LSU. Let's talk big picture. National college football storylines, the semifinals, the final, all that coming up with Denton Day when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing. LifetimeRoofingLA.com is that website. They are so proud at Lifetime Roofing, one, to be part of this community. They're Baton Rouge natives, Baton Rouge lifers, and they're thrilled to be here. But they're also proud to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Like, it's a big investment to get a new roof. If you want to go with a local company that understands what needs to be done in South Louisiana and that's willing to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on that new roof, you got to work with Lifetime Roofing. Got a gorgeous new facility there just off College Drive, a growing and wonderful team of people that care about this community. So if you're looking for a new roof, whether that there's been damage and you need to file a claim, or perhaps you just need a new roof and you want to look to sell your home, but you got to get a new roof put on it, you can buy one retail. They will help you with financing options. 0% up to 18 months. That is same as cash. Who does that? Who does 0% up to 18 months? Who does a lifetime workmanship warranty? Lifetime Roofing does. Lifetime Roofing does. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Lock Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades, but our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs, and lost income. Life can be turned upside down. At Lock Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we'll work to turn your world right side up. Hire us, and like thousands of our clients, you'll be glad you did.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Let's continue our college football conversation. Denton Day, SiriusXM College Football Overtime with us on Mondays throughout the season. So got one more to do after this one. Denton, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Are you guys celebrating a new quarterback?
Well, now Zenitz is tweeting that Tennessee doesn't think they're out of it. So I don't know if we can celebrate or not. I don't know if we prematurely threw the confetti all over the place. I don't know what's going on out in the transfer portal world. I guess until somebody tweets something official, we don't really know. But what are your thoughts on Leavitt and what he potentially could be here in Baton Rouge?
I mean, I think he's the right guy. I also think he's probably one of the only guys that Lane Kiffin could get at this point. It would have been terrible if he, got stamped out for a quarterback by everybody in the portal once he took over. So I think he's the best available option, and he lands in your spot. You got to feel pretty good about that.
There's concerns about the injury, and so we can't. It's just speculation as to how healthy he is or what he looks like when he comes back. But at his best, at his healthiest, what are your impressions of Leavitt as a quarterback?
I think he's a good player. I think when he's at his best and when he's at his healthiest, he almost beat Texas. 2 years ago. I know that was a little bit of a long time ago, and you don't want to put too much stock into something that happened 2 years ago, but that's a really good player right there. And you need a new guy to lead the offense under Lane Kiffin. I think he's the best available option. So, I know they're saying Tennessee might still be in it, but now it's up to LSU to come up with any sort of money or resources that he needs to say, no, we're a better program than Tennessee. You want to come play for us, and then get him there.
I think that's the plan. I think it should work itself out here pretty shortly. Ole Miss's season is done. Miami knocks them out over in the Fiesta Bowl. Just an incredible football game. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Defensive line is truth. And I think you can kind of describe it that way for all of the games or a lot of the games that we have seen in this college football playoff. If you don't have a great defensive line, you're going to be in trouble. And Miami, quarterback-wise, Carson Beck had a great drive to end the game, so you got to give flowers when they are deserved. But that game was won, and their run has been really defined by the defensive line and the guys who can get after the quarterback. I think that's what the difference was. Ole Miss did not have that, and Miami did.
As far as where Ole Miss goes from here, do you feel like that might be a high watermark for them, or do you feel like there's a good chance that Pete Golding, the Grove Collective, can keep things trucking forward?
No, it's a high watermark. I mean, look, man, the run was fun, right? And they got to kind of stick it to the big mean villain and Lane Kiffin, but Ole Miss has vastly outkicked their coverage. And even in an era where anybody can win, we're seeing that with Indiana, likely going to be the ones to win a week from now and win the national championship. They are still behind a little bit when it comes to everybody else in the SEC. So I think they kind of had the stars aligned for them. They caught lightning in a bottle. Enjoy that run. It was fun, but once LSU gets back, once Bama gets back, and there's a whole host of other programs that have been down in the dumps for a while. Auburn's another example. Sooner or later, these programs are going to catch back up. So maybe they can get to this point again in the next couple of years, but I would not anticipate that Ole Miss is going to be back in the same spot a year from now.
What about Miami? How do you contextualize what Mario Cristobal has done there and what you think their prospects are moving forward?
First of all, he's a weirdo. Outside of that, outside of my personal feelings about him, I think he has done a really, really good job, and I think they've built a really, really good defensive front that you can kind of pitch yourself now to a lot of really talented players in the state of Florida. Say, hey, if you want to come play defensive line at a high level, we're the place to do it. I know everyone's going to give love to Carson Beck, and when you think of Miami, I think you still think of high-powered offense, you think of the swagger, but I think if you can build through that defensive line the way that they have and you become defensive line you, for lack of a better term, that's what I think he should really be pressing at and say, this is what we want to be. This is what our identity is.
Let's talk about Oregon now. Their season is over. You get to the Final Four. That's good, but you were non-competitive. How do you sort that away?
Well, is Dylan Raiola the answer? I mean, that might have to be their answer. The way they got stomped out was stunning, honestly. I would have thought, hey, you've seen this Indiana team before. You're aware of the physicality that they're going to bring to a football game, and it did not matter. You did not stand a chance. Indiana did literally whatever they wanted. So they're going to have to do some readjusting. Their offensive line was not good enough. And we saw that in multiple games, even against Texas Tech. That offensive line was just not good enough, so they need to get way better at that position.
How do you feel like Oregon fans feel about Dan Lanning right now?
I would assume that you still love him.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you're erecting the statue anytime soon. I think they might have thought that this would have been a year to do that, and then you got stomped. I imagine just in general, 4 days, 5 days after a beatdown, you're not going to be thrilled. So I'd imagine you still love him, but it's about time that he starts, maybe less sound clips, maybe more wins, important wins that matter and wins that result in championships.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to lose in the playoff. It's another to just get annihilated 2 years in a row. No, great teams. Florida, Ohio State, a lot of talent last year. Indiana's on a historic run here, but, I mean, not competitive in either game whatsoever. And we'll talk about Indiana and Miami in their matchup next week when we do this at this time next week. But, are you ready to start tossing Indiana in the discussions with 2019 LSU like I'm seeing all over the internet?
I would be hesitant to toss them in the discussions with that particular team. I think it might be fair to toss them in the discussion with the 2020 Bama team, maybe that 2018 Clemson team. I mean, they do everything so well, and it hasn't been competitive. And I think that not being competitive thing is really what sticks. Now, why I'd be hesitant with the 19 LSU team is you know this as well as anybody, all around, that was a great year for college football. If you just look at this year objectively, while it's been fun, certainly, this has not been like a barn burner year for the sport. There's been parity, which has been awesome, but I don't know that there's been like 4 or 5 really awesome teams the way that in 19 it felt like there were, and even maybe in 2018 with Clemson, it felt like there were. So that maybe knocks Indiana down a peg or two to where they're only the 3rd or 4th best team since 2000 that we have seen, which is still pretty good when you're considering, hey, you guys were a basketball school 2 years ago.
No, it's nuts. I mean, and watching them do what they did, I was all excited to sit down and watch that game on Friday as stress-free football. I was not stress-free on Thursday watching Ole Miss, but stress-free on Friday, and it was non-competitive by halftime. I had to flip on Cubs highlights.
I mean, you're just like, hey, is Wheel of Fortune on? Like, what else can I watch here that's going to be at least somewhat entertaining for the next 2 hours? Because mentally, I told myself I was going to be staying up till 11 p.m. I wish that game was a little bit more competitive, because that was the one that I was the most excited about. But Indiana is a juggernaut. Cignetti has built a hell of a program.
We'll talk about the game matchup-wise next week, but just an early thought, Indiana's an 8.5-point favorite. I'm assuming you're not running to get money down on Miami?
No, I thankfully got money down on Indiana when it was 7.5 when it opened. I laid that immediately because that just seems to be the way that this run for them has gone. But if Indiana can, or rather if Miami can have it competitive by halftime, I would consider that to be a win. I don't think Carson Beck is going to be able to outdo this particular Indiana team. I just don't.
He was awful for 3 quarters in the game against Ole Miss, but he showed up when I needed him. So I appreciate Mr. Beck for doing that and sending Ole Miss home so that I could enjoy the last 2 games of the college football season. As long as they're competitive, we will see. Den, we appreciate some time. We'll talk next week in advance of the game.
Yep, I appreciate it as always.
Den Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime with us on Mondays. Miami and Indiana, 8.5-point number right now. That game will be a week from tonight. Just a long layoff. I mean, you're talking about Thursday to the following Monday. That's 12 days.
I've been saying that since like a couple weeks ago because I'm like, dude, we started this August 30th.
Yeah.
And now we're almost at the end of January, the middle of January, and we're still playing football. Oh, my goodness.
It's a lot. We didn't talk about Indiana and Oregon. That was a Friday night game.
What's there to talk about?
I'm stunned. Like I talked about it on Friday. I don't really get it. I don't understand. I don't watch Indiana and see individual efforts that are just mind-blowing to me. I just see a team that looks like it's on autopilot, just knocking things out the exact right way. Now, I'm going to get cranky when people start talking about 2019 LSU.
Oh, they're already doing it. They're already doing
I'm going to get cranky. Every time somebody wins a national championship, we start talking about 2019 LSU. When they put that many guys in the first round, and they've got Burrow and Jefferson and Chase and Stingley and Delpit and Fulton and like all those offensive linemen with Cushenberry and Lewis and that have signed big NFL deals.
Chase on yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, just give me a break. Patrick Queen, Jacob Phillips, chill. Okay, Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns. 60.
Yeah.
Mendoza's at what, like 34?
If that, you know.
Give me a break.
But their excuse, well, Indiana's blowing everybody out so he doesn't play the fourth quarters. It's like, did you see
LSU's dusting folks.
I'm about to say, did you
We beat A&M by 70. Chill.
Did we not see the Peach Bowl against Oklahoma?
6 touchdowns the first half.
Yeah, like
maybe 7. He threw 7 in the game, 6 in the first half, I think.
I just know Justin Jefferson, he made a lot of money that day.
He did.
He made a lot of money that day.
He keeps making a lot of money.
Yeah.
No cash flow problem in the Justin Jefferson house at this current juncture.
Not even close.
All right, well, that's a look at Miami and Indiana, or Oregon and Indiana from Friday night. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. I was at Swing Easy Golf Club on Saturday. Fired it up, played a little TPC Sawgrass. Made a birdie on the first hole. It was awesome. Gave it right back with a double on the second hole. Got around to the island green. Did knock it on the island green, but it was a great time. We got buckets of beer over there at Swing Easy Golf Club. There were 3 of us in there alternating shots. You got a chance to hit some drives, chips, putts, just kind of like you're out on the golf course, but you got big couch and music playing, and we had football on the TV. It was a great, great Saturday over at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can do the same. Coming up this Saturday, make plans for a week from tonight, Monday night, to watch the national championship game at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can play some golf, drink a couple of cold beers, put the game on TV with some buddies. It's a great, great place to spend a little bit of time. Cold this week, not a great time to go practice outside. You can do it inside at Swing Easy Golf Club on Segan at Perkins. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
My father, J.B. Falgout, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgout.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google. Based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Supreme Jasmine is premium American-grown rice. From local farms to your table,
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Looking for a fresh start this spring? How about Ochsner's Eat Fit's alcohol-free for 40 challenge? It is back, a 40-day reset to kind of help you sleep better, boost your energy, make you feel your best. Not about giving anything up forever, but seeing how your body responds when you take a little bit of a break, maybe let things recharge a little bit. When you sign up, you get access to pre- and post-challenge metrics like body composition, blood pressure, some optional labs, and you can see the changes your body makes over 40 days. People that have done alcohol-free for 40 report clearer skin, more focus, brighter mood, better sleep, often within the first couple of weeks of doing so. Ochsner's Eat Fit supports you with zero-proof drink ideas, nutrition tips, and a community of people all taking on that challenge together. Registration's open. So whether you join the official event or maybe just take the challenge from home, it's your chance to hit the reset button and feel the difference. So learn more. Sign up at alcoholfreefor40.com. That's the number 40, alcoholfreefor40.com over at Ochsner. All right, let's play a little Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. All right, let's start it off with everybody's favorite Philadelphia Eagle, A.J. Brown, as he had a night to forget last night, as he had 3 crucial drops.
Yep.
It was seen getting into it with head coach Nick Sirianni on the sidelines at the end of the game. He didn't speak to the media after the game and left his jersey in Quinyon Mitchell's locker after the game with a note saying, basically made the all-pro, whatever, shout out, whatever. So is A.J. Brown out of Philly? Take it or leave it?
I'm going to take it. Is there a more dysfunctional yet good franchise than the Eagles? People are always cranky, and they're always good. It's so weird. Their team chemistry seems to be a little out of
Always
whack.
terrible. Yeah. I mean,
but they always win.
Like, I was too young at the time, but this kind of feels like the Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens little saga that was going on. Like, it's literally the same thing, just 20 years later. So, I don't know.
He was not good last night.
Yeah, was he? I mean, Jesus. So, I guess we can say A.J. Brown to the Saints?
And sign Olave to a big deal. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money in receiver.
Got to pay 12. I forgot about that. So, Diet Mahomes, a.k.a. Dylan Raiola, announced his commitment to Oregon for next season. Since 2021, this will be Raiola's 6th school since high school. Is this the new age of college kids playing careers? Take it or leave it.
Take it. I mean, you got guys going. I mean, Leavitt will be on his 3rd stop. I mean, we know T.J. Finley around these parts.
Max Johnson?
Yeah, Max. I saw he's going somewhere else. I didn't even see where it was. That's just part of it. There's it's an interesting way to go about it. You feel like a lot of us went to one school and that's your school and you go back to it and that's just part of you. And if you went to 6, do you even have that? I don't know.
Little context. So he went to 4 in high school. So all 4 years in high school, 4 different schools, and this would be his 2nd school in college football. So that's the 6th. So
we'll see. I mean, look, he's a talented dude, and Oregon's done okay with the transfer quarterbacks. Bo Nix seemed to play pretty well. Dante Moore's done a good job, and so we'll see.
Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel was great. So we'll see if he's the next one.
Okay, so the Green Bay Packers took a 21-3 lead
yes, they did.
to halftime and a 21-6 lead going to the 4th quarter. And then they gave up 25 points in the 4th quarter alone while managing just 6 points itself in the entire second half. With 1 year left on his deal, is this the end of the road for head coach Packers, Matt LaFleur? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. It sounds like they're trying to get him back and maybe do an extension worked out. That was, look, I think the story is more about the Bears than the Packers. I mean, that is a town that is euphoric right now. I've watched a lot of reaction videos from living rooms. We talked about it on Friday. It's been decades of agony with the Bears dealing with the Packers, and it feels like they may be flipping things a little bit with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams, the way that they're playing. It was a sensational performance, an awesome game. I was glued to it on Saturday night, and it was great stuff from them. And I think that's the story that the Bears have turned over a new leaf here. Not that the Packers are at the end of any sort of road. I think the Packers played pretty well for most of that game, and obviously we'd like to have Micah Parsons out there. But the Bears just made plays. It was incredible football.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I saw a crazy stat. I think it was since 2010. I think Caleb Williams now has 50% of all wins against the Packers from a Bears quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's Jay Cutler only beat him twice. And then Caleb Williams has beat him 3 times. And it's only been
look,
2
Mitch
years.
Trubisky wasn't beating him.
Yeah,
I promise you that. Whichever one of the McCowns was playing quarterback at one point by the Bears wasn't getting it done. No.
So that is crazy that Caleb Williams has 50% of all wins against Packers since, I don't know. So 5-time major champion Brooks Koepka announced on Monday that he's returned to the PGA Tour. Koepka noted there is a financial penalty involved.
Yes.
As they discussed that he will be forfeiting close to $50 or $85 million in potential earnings. Koepka also agreed to give $5 million to a charitable contribution. So, Brooks Koepka, you going to forfeit $85 million to come back? Take it or leave it.
I love it. I love it.
I'll take it.
Y'all know how I feel about this whole situation. Brooks, to his credit, always knew that LIV was a complete and total joke. It was a complete sham, just an absolute disaster. But he didn't know he was going to be healthy enough to play golf moving forward, and so he took the money. He wouldn't wear their goofy, stupid-looking uniforms in the majors. He knew it was stupid, and the first chance he had to get out, he got out. Now, the PGA Tour can't just welcome all these guys back who took all that money, which would then tell the players that stayed oh, you should have gone and taken the money and just come on back. But he's got to give $5 million to charity. He can't do the PIF thing where they give about big social media money at the end of every year. Not eligible for some of the FedEx Cup stuff, but he can play on the tour. And that's my goal in this whole thing, is to get guys back to playing together. So we'll see what Rahm decides to do. We'll see what Bryson decides to do, what Cam Smith decides to do. There are still some dominoes over there, but LIV is cracking. Everyone knows it's ridiculous and stupid, and Brooks was just the first guy to be able to get out of that deal. So I'm happy about it. I understand that it's just the first thing that needs to happen moving forward, but the quicker that LIV dies, the better.
Hey, Hunt, I'm not too sure, but I know you would know. I've heard that then you're not allowed to wear shorts anymore, and that was like the whole thing that you could wear.
That wasn't
shorts
the whole
over there.
thing. It was just something that they decided to do in the middle of it. But yeah, I think they went to pants, and they went to 72 holes because it was 54. They're trying to get world ranking points. Nobody watches it. Nobody cares. Everybody knows it's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Talk briefly about Alex Bregman. My Cubs spent a little money.
Oh, yeah.
$175 million for Breggs. That's huge for the Cubs. The Cubs are acting like they would like to win the World Series for the first time since 2020. That's the last time they acted like they were trying to win the World Series. So this is the first big contract they give it out in a while. Just so happens that it goes to an LSU player. So this is super awesome. I'm excited to watch Bregman play for these 5 years. Hopefully these are some formative years for the Myers man in terms of watching the Cubs. I'm hopeful. He just turned 4, so by the time Bregman hangs it up with the Cubs, he'll be 9. Might know what's going on a little bit, and hopefully Bregman is part of the childhood memories that Myers makes watching the Cubs. But I'm excited to watch him. I think he's a great fit for the Cubs. He makes a lot of contact. He's going to hit for some power. He plays great defense. I think he's going to age pretty well with that flat swing and good defense over at third base. So I'm very, very excited when I saw the news. I'm thrilled that they were able to make the money work. It's not something the Cubs have done a lot of, so I'm fired up about that in a big, big way.
Can only imagine, because we were sitting here speaking it for about a couple of weeks, so you got to give us a round of applause for that, because we spoke it for about 2 weeks now.
I think the Cubs are pretty good now. In the last week, they've added a frontline starter and Bregman at third base.
Wait, a pitcher, yeah.
So you're talking about a team that I think is clearly the best team in the Central. The Brewers always seem to screw that up for us, but and that gives you a shot. They're not as good as the Dodgers, but that's a super team. So you just got to hope that you either don't have to run into the playoffs or play your best baseball for a week when you play them. Like the Blue Jays almost beat them. They could be beat, but it's going to be tough. But for 162, this is going to be a good Cubs team, and I'm fired up that Bregman's part of it. I know there's a lot of LSU fans that are Astros fans that had that time where Bregman goes from LSU to the Astros, and that's a cool transition there. I get my little run at it here for 5 years. So I got my phone started blowing up when it happened. I got texts from Jimmy, from Hanny, from like a few people who were texting me all fired up about it. My Cubs fan group just went nuts. So he's not 24 anymore. He's 31, but got him on a 5-year deal. So hopefully he does well there. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. I tell you that a little bit early here because Sam Leavitt is a developing situation. There doesn't seem to be any sort of real concern in Baton Rouge. I think the agreement will be done. The report wasn't that Leavitt is definitely going to Tennessee. The report was that Tennessee is still pursuing him. I think LSU feels pretty good, like they've got their guy. So Matt will give you all the updates on that between 3 and 6 on After Further Review. If you missed any of our show, catch it on demand. Have a great Monday evening. We're back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.